3 months pregnant, a pack of rogues ambushed me. In the last moments before my consciousness began to fade, I begged a mate, Adrian. Adrian, quickly, come and save me. But he never answered. I was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, only to be informed that the St. Tyr healer had been forcibly taken south by Adrian to treat Evelyn, his first love, after she lost her mate. When I woke to the pain of losing my pup, my fingers shook as I checked social media. Then I saw Evelyn's post. In the video, Adrian and Evelyn are locked in a tight embrace. Evelyn is so moved that she cries, her voice trembling.
I knew that no matter how far away I am or how much time has passed, Adrian would always come for me. He even brought a St. Tyr healer to ease the pain in my heart.
Adrian's dark eyes, which were usually cold and distant, were focused on the woman beside him with tenderness. While I was fighting for my life and losing our cub, my alpha was protecting another pregnant wolf. I chuckled at myself bitterly. It felt as if the bond mark on my chest was withering away. I then dialed a number without hesitation. Dr. Clark, I accept position at the Northern Ancient Wolf Research Institute. Dr. Clark's ecstatic voice came through the phone. He couldn't wait to confirm the specific time with me. I glanced at the screen, at the image of Adrian and Evelyn embracing, and my voice trembled slightly. The sooner the better. I won't be holding a farewell ceremony. On the 3rd day after my miscarriage, Adrian finally came back to our villa. I sat on the couch, still weak from the knee injury caused by losing my pup. The moment Adrian saw me, his sharp eyes instantly turned cold.
Selena, are you satisfied now?
His tone made it clear that he was trying to suppress his anger.
The Elder just accused me of taking the St. Tyr healer without authorization, causing a strain on metal resources across the entire territory. Who else but you would be so petty as to report me over such a small matter?
He walked over, stopped in front of you, looked down at me. He then said in a tone full of disgust,
Evelyn is pregnant and just lost her mate. She's very vulnerable. You've never been a mother, so you don't know how hard this is. Please stop causing me trouble at a time like this.
I smiled faintly as the pain pulsed in my heart. Evelyn had lost her mate, so Adrian became her protector. But what about me? I lost our pup, yet I became his problem. He didn't even have a word of comfort for me, I said in a faint voice. I'm sorry. It was my fault. My body was in so much pain that I didn't have the strength to argue with him. Adrian was stunned. He had probably expected me to argue with him hysterically. Instead, my calm seemed to make him even more irritated. He let out a sigh and tried to sound gentler.
Good, I picked this scarf out just for you. It's top-grade silk. You'll like it.
He then handed me a pink scarf from a luxury brand. My eyes instantly turned red. I had already seen it in Evelyn's social media post half an hour earlier. This was the scarf she had left in the corner. I could even recall the sound of Evelyn's whiny, coquettish voice. They're not even good enough to use of the stray dog next door. And on Evelyn's finger was the custom ruby ring Adrian had promised me for my birthday. He had promised me that ring for staying by his side for the past decade. He had once said to me,
This ruby presents my utmost sincerity. Only one I love most deserves to wear it.
Now the ring is on someone else's finger, and my gift is a scarf that one else rejected. Adrian asked with a frown when I did not take it.
What is it, you don't like it?
I put the scarf away and forced a smile, but couldn't bring myself to say I liked it. He didn't notice my feelings. He just breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had completed a task. As he walked toward the study, he asked casually,
By the way, you kept trying to communicate with me a few days ago, mind-linking me wildly. What was that about?
I hid the despair in my eyes and answered calmly, Nothing. The instant the door shut, I called Clark. Are the arrangements done? I'm giving up my status as Adrian's mate and going to the Northern Ancient Wolf Research Institute. Clark was delighted. As one of the few senior scholars in Werewolf Society, he had always hoped that someone as gifted as I would leave my worldly desires behind and devote herself to exploring the mysteries of ancient bloodlines.
Selena, once you join the Research Institute, you'll never be able to come back.
And once you sever the mate bond, you'll be in a lot of pain.
He paused, his tone laced with a touch of unease.
Have you really thought this through?
I said in a firm tone, I want to leave. Just then, Adrian suddenly appeared behind me. He frowned and asked in a deep voice,
Where are you going?
I glanced at Adrian and replied calmly, I'm just going to a newly opened restaurant with some friends. After I hung up the call with Clark, I could feel the violent cramp from my lower abdomen again. I curled up on the couch, shaking in pain as cold sweat began to appear and drench my clothes. Outside, the thunder was growing louder. The lightning looked like it wanted to tear the night sky apart. Adrian grabbed his phone and strode toward the door. A woman's soft sobs came from the other end of the line.
Adrian, I'm scared. Can you please come stay with me?
Every word came through clearly in the silent living room. I endured the pain that coursed through my abdomen, my fingers digging into the couch's armrest so hard my nails nearly went through the leather. Adrian, please don't go, all right? He paused and looked back at me, impatience clear in his eyes.
Selena, I already told you. Evelyn's situation is unique right now.
My voice trembled, and a cold sweat covered my forehead. I don't feel well either. Can you stay? Even just to call a doctor for me. I was already quite weak after the miscarriage, and the sudden rainstorm was making the cramp even worse. Adrian hesitated for a moment when he saw how pale I looked, until Evelyn's voice came through the phone again.
Is Selena trying to steal the Saint Tier healer again, just like last time?
Adrian's expression instantly turned cold. He walked over and bent down before gripping my chin, his voice filled with a sneer.
Selena, are you really going to use the same trick twice? Your jealousy has made you ugly.
I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come out. My skirt was already soaked with cold sweat and something more. I could feel my strength draining away slowly from my legs, but he saw none of it. His entire attention was on his first love, who was afraid of the sounds of thunder. All I could do was continue to plea weakly. I'm not pretending, Adrian. He cut me off as he shoved me away.
Evelyn just lost her mate. I'm the only one she has now. I won't be back tonight. Don't wait for me.
Adrian then left without a second thought. The moment the front door slammed shut, my heart sank. He did not know that a large piece of flesh had been torn from my back just so I could protect the pup in my womb. He knew even less that if the Saint Tier healer he was so proud of had been there that day, we might have been able to save our cub. He had indirectly killed his own first cub. I touched my now flat belly, and tears fell silently to the floor. My consciousness began to grow hazy, and my memories drifted back to the past.
Selena, when will you carry my cub inside? If it's a boy, I'll teach him how to rule our pack's territory. If it's a girl, I'll give her the prettiest gems in the whole wilderness.
I had planned to tell Adrian about the pregnancy as a birthday gift, but everything was ruined now. Outside, the thunder kept rolling, and lightning split the night sky above. I picked up the phone from the table, and the screen lit up. A new post from one of the people I followed popped up. It was from Evelyn. The photo showed a lavish bedroom. The man had his back to the camera and was kneeling beside the bed, holding a cup of hot milk. I recognized him at once, even from his back. Her caption was "Flugness, obese little dog." Those 3 words struck deep into my heart, twisting and crushing me. The next day, Adrian hurried back to the villa still covered in the coldness from last night, and he found me standing there with no expression at all. He was feeling somewhat uneasy. Maybe he felt the faint tremor in our mate bond. He pretended casually undoes on his shirt and...
Selena, didn't I tell you not to wait for me?
He opened his arms, clearly expecting me to step into his embrace, but I turned and avoided him. I was standing right in front of him, but he could feel a distance that he couldn't explain, as if I was slowly fading from his territory.
Selena, I know I've neglected you these past few days.
His voice carried a hint of rare guilt.
The day after tomorrow is your birthday. I promise I'll cancel all the Elders' Council meetings that day and spend it with you. Okay?
I forced out a faint smile. That smile on my steamily pale face looked so much more discerning. Sure. Adrian seemed to have let out a sigh of relief at my response. But what he didn't know, that I was about to leave. On my birthday, he looked unusually eager, as if that alone could erase all his previous absences. He kept talking about the pack's future as he drove us to our destination, trying to stir up the sense of duty he thought I should have as his Luna. He took me to a top private restaurant on a cliff, the one that overlooked the entire forest. However, just as the main course arrived, his phone began to buzz. He glanced at the screen, and his brows furrowed at once. The softness in his eyes disappeared, replaced by tension and urgency. Then he said,
Selena, I need to take this call. It's an emergency from the pack.
I nodded quietly, though a bad feeling had already risen in my chest. Sure enough, Adrian came back not long after, guilt written all over his face.
I'm really sorry, Selena. Something happened to Evelyn. Rogues attacked her home's vicinity. As the Alpha, I have to lead a team there right away.
Sure, I answered calmly before he could come up with more excuses. Adrian froze. All the apologies and explanations he had prepared were now useless, leaving him looking almost foolish. The pack's safety is important. As Alpha, protecting the pack is your duty. Hearing that, Adrian finally let out a relieved smile on his face. He immediately rushed out the door, leaving the coldness behind him.
Selena, don't worry. When I get back, I'll make it up to you with a huge celebration. You'll be the entire pack's envy.
His voice disappeared into the distance with the sounds of tires screeching and grinding over rocks. I watched his back as the smile on my face faded little by little. There would be no next time, Adrian. I quietly cut into the birthday cake by myself. Memories drifted back to the past unbuilden. I was a half-blood orphan who had lost both parents. In the werewolf society where hierarchy was strictly maintained, I was once the one at the bottom of the totem pole. The first warmth I had ever known in my life came from Adrian when we were young. Back then, he had smiled at me and said,
Poor little half-blood. Why are you hiding in a cave crying by yourself on the night of the full moon? Now that you've met me, I'll stay with you through every full moon and every birthday from now on.
From that moment on, I had given him all my loyalty and love. I treated him as the only ray of light in my dark life. But in the end, he had still chosen Evelyn and abandoned me. My tears fell onto the expensive chocolate cake. I took a bite. It tasted bitter, with a saltness that reminded me of rusted iron. It was not sweet at all. Adrian, you lied to me. I was still alone at the end of it all. Just as I was walking down the spiral staircase, a wave of dizziness hit me. As someone who had lost her pup, my senses were already fragile and rawly sensitive. My vision went black, and I tumbled down the stairs. My body slammed into the railing, and blood flowed from my temple, smearing the floor a bright scarlet. Adrian. Maybe it had been an instinct honed for many years that made me reach out to the only person I had once believed would still be there for me through our mate bond. A moment later, Adrian's impatient voice sounded in my mind.
Selena, Evelyn isn't feeling well. You need to have some boundaries. Don't make a fuss because it's your birthday.
Then, he cut the connection without hesitation. Tried again, but he immediately blocked me one-sidedly. I laughed bitterly. With the last of my strength, I made a call to our private medical team. When I woke up again, I was lying on a cold hospital gurney. The doctor told me that because I had not rested properly after a miscarriage, my body was already close to collapse. That was why I had suddenly passed out. Fortunately, the injury was not serious even though I had hit my head. As fate would have it, when I went to settle the bill, I ran into Adrian and Evelyn at the end of the hallway. He was protecting her carefully, and the hands that were so decisive in battle were now holding a bowl of medicine as he tried to persuade her patiently.
All right, Evelyn, just listen to me. Your health matters more than the territory.
So that was it. She had a mere cold. Adrian had ignored my cries for help after I had fallen down the stairs, yet here he was being so careful with her and giving her his all, even if it was only something so minor.
Selena?
Adrian finally noticed me. His hand holding the medicine bowl shook a little as a flash of guilt appeared on his face. I asked calmly as I leaned against the cold wall. Weren't you out dealing with a rogue attack? Why are you here? For once, Adrian actually looked guilty as he explained himself to me.
Evelyn caught a cold, so I brought her here. Why are you at the hospital?
He awkwardly changed the subject, a fake look of concern appearing on his face. Just then, a nurse walked over. Sir, please take your wife for a scan. She was badly injured in a fall from a staircase. Adrian's eyes suddenly widened as he grabbed the nurse's shoulder, his voice suddenly hoarse.
What did you say? She fell?
I said before the nurse could answer, calmly telling one last lie. It's nothing. I'm just a little anemic. The panic in Adrian's face slowly went away. Evelyn coughed twice and leaned weakly into Adrian's arms, but her eyes moved toward me provocatively.
Adrian, my stomach hurts so much. Could it be that something's wrong with the baby?
Adrian looked at me, then at Evelyn beside him. She was pale and delicate, coughing softly from her cold. He hesitated for only a moment before making his choice.
Selena, since your exam didn't show anything serious, let me take Evelyn home first. I'll come back and accompany you afterward, okay?
I forced the brightest smile I could.
Of course.
Adrian did not hesitate again as he helped move Evelyn away and left. Meanwhile, I waited in the hospital room until late evening. He never came back, and our mate bond stayed silent, too. Then, I saw Evelyn post a new video. Adrian was driving her in a convertible race car under the pale moonlight, speeding down the forest road as the wind whipped through their hair. They drove through the night freely, and I saw a relaxed expression on Adrian's face that I had not seen for a very long time. I felt like a puppet no longer connected to any strings, as I could barely feel any emotions in my heart. I did not want to stay in the hospital another second. So I walked and went back to the empty villa. I burned everything from the last decade that still carried Adrian's scent. In the end, I placed the signed mate bond termination agreement, Evelyn's message history, and the hospital's note for my miscarriage treatment in the most visible spot in the living room. Then, I left the suffocating territory. Adrian, I never want to see you again. I soon arrived safely in the ancient forest to the north. Meanwhile, far away in his territory, Adrian finally remembered I existed. The silence deep in our mate bond began to make him panic. He thought of my pale face and said,
Evelyn, I have to go see Selena tonight. Something about her condition at the hospital feels wrong.
Evelyn held his arm and said in a soft voice,
Adrian, the baby needs you too. If you really can't stop worrying about that half-blood, why not reach out through your bond?
But Adrian couldn't quite shake that uneasy feeling. He instinctively tried to contact me through the mind link, only to find dead silence on the other end. The connection had been cut off. This had never happened even once in the past 10 years or more. Panic instantly overwhelmed Adrian as he grabbed his coat and rushed out, unable to even care that Evelyn was screaming behind him.
Adrian! You promised you'd stay with me tonight!
Adrian headed to the hospital as quickly as possible, only to be told that I had been discharged days earlier. He stumbled back to the villa and found ashes everywhere. Every photo of me had been torn apart, leaving only the parts without me behind. Half the closet was empty, and the gentle scent that belonged to a she-wolf had disappeared without a trace. He collapsed onto the couch and finally saw the stack of files on the coffee table. In that instant, the face of the powerful Alpha turned pale. His hands shook as he opened them. When he saw the miscarriage report, a broken howl tore from his throat like a wounded beast.
That pup was mine.
The cub carrying his blood that he had waited for so long had died quietly in a cold emergency room while he was at another she-wolf's side. He remembered how he had cut off the mind link that day, convinced it was just another one of Selena's petty tricks, and how that had pushed her all the way into the corner.
I'm sorry, Selena.
At that moment, Adrian finally understood how ridiculous he had been. Adrian broke down in tears, crying bitterly, but the room was empty and there was no one left to comfort him. Then, a scheduled mail arrived. The handwriting was faint, but every stroke carried force. Adrian, by the time you read this, I would have already crossed the border. I loved you for a decade, but all it took was one call from Evelyn to make you abandon me without hesitation, regardless of what kind of life or death situation I was in. I'm done. I'm giving her back the role of being your mate. Please never appear in my life again. It felt as if some invisible force had torn his heart to pieces.
No. Selena, come back.
He dropped to his knees on the cold floor and punched it with both fists until his hands were bloody. It was at this moment that Evelyn daringly came after him. She tried to hug him from behind.
Adrian, you still have me. I'll always stay with you.
Adrian whipped around, his eyes blood red. The murderous rage pouring out of him made Evelyn slump to the floor. A powerful slap sent her down to the floor.
What gave you the nerve to provoke my wife and send her all those messages?
Adrian roared, and it seemed as though he might shapeshift and tear her apart at any moment. Evelyn was stunned as she held her cheek and screamed.
You actually hit me for that half-breed? You said I was the one you loved most!
I indulged you only because of that darned relationship we once had. Do you think I didn't know that you left me back then because I wasn't alpha and you wanted someone stronger to rely on?
Evelyn's face turned deathly pale. She began to scream hysterically, completely shredding the last shred of dignity between them.
Adrian, you're no better. You're the one who came running to me like a dog because I made one phone call. You're trying to act like some devoted lover when Selena is gone now? Do you think you deserve the right to act like one?
Evelyn slammed the door behind her and left, leaving Adrian in a complete mess. Adrian had no answer. Yes, he had destroyed everything with his own hands. Just as Evelyn's words wounded him deeply and forced him into deep regret, the mark on his chest that symbolized our unity suddenly flared with scorching red light. For a werewolf, the pain coming from the mate bond torn unipart no detrally was no worse than the pain of flesh being ripped from bone. The once untouchable alpha clutched his chest in agony and spat out a mouthful of blood. The mark slowly dimmed as it burned, until it finally turned into a patch of dead skin and easily peeled away from his flesh. That meant that far away in the north, I had already used the ancient ritual and endured the gut-wrenching pain while severing our mate bond permanently. From that moment on, I would not feel even the slightest sadness, even if he died in front of me. The next morning, Adrian woke up in a pool of blood. After enduring the pain of having the mate bond forcefully severed, his face was pale, and his entire being fatigued. But he didn't choose to rest. Instead, he immediately started packing and getting ready to head north to find me. He still naively believed that if he apologized in person, there might still be a way to reverse everything. But at that moment, the elders pushed open the doors into the villa. Several white-haired elders of high standing looked at the wreckage all over the floor, then at Adrian, who had lost all dignity of being an alpha. Their eyes were full of disappointment. The Grand Elder struck his staff hard against the floor.
Adrian, you have really disappointed us. Now go with us. Selena is not just your mate. She's also the most gifted scholar, who specializes in the ancient wolf bloodlines in all werewolf society. Yet, you pushed her into complete despair because of a mere widow from a foreign pack. You are no longer worthy of being the alpha.
Grandel, I have to go north. I have to bring her back.
He attempted to push past them, but several high-ranking guards pinned him to the ground instead. Adrian's authority was stripped, and he was dragged into a cold, damp cave. After several days in darkness, the restlessness inside him reached its threshold. He wanted to go north. He had to leave. He used the last of his strength to knock out 2 guards when they were changing shifts, and quietly slipped out of the territory. He had lost his title and resources. He could no longer use his private jet or any cross-border routes. The only place left for him to go was Evelyn's territory. Adrian slipped into Evelyn's estate after avoided the patrols. Just as he was about to knock on the master bedroom door, he heard voices inside. In the room, Evelyn was speaking to a rogue whose scent he did not recognize. Evelyn sounded annoyed,
You couldn't even kill Selena, and yet you to have the nerve to ask me for money!
The rogue muttered a few words in his defense. Evelyn let out a cold laugh and went on. Still, it worked out well enough. I made sure to act sick at just the right time so that Adrian would take the St. Teal healer away. Even if Selena didn't die, the cub in her belly was never going to survive. Adrian was completely stunned as he stood outside the door. In that instant, the whole truth fell into place. The rogue attack on me had never been an accident. It had been a murder plot that Evelyn had set up from the beginning. She had deliberately lured the St. Teal healer away so that I and my pup would die on the operating table. Meanwhile, Adrian had been Evelyn's accomplice in the murder of his own mate and child. He was the one who had opened a way for the enemy to come in and personally caused this tragedy. Adrian's sanity finally snapped. He kicked the solid wood door open and charged inside, his eyes blood red. The rogue took one glance at him and immediately jumped through the window to escape, leaving Evelyn slumped on the floor in terror. Evelyn was shocked and instinctively backed away as she began to beg.
Listen, I can explain. I only did it because I loved you too much.
Adrian did not say a word. Just when Evelyn thought he was going to let her go, a beast-like growl tore from his throat, and his bones began to crack violently. He shapeshifted into a massive wolf that had completely lost his mind on the spot, and lunged at Evelyn. Her screams lasted only a few seconds of regret and murderous. 3 years passed, and by the 3rd year of my arrival in the north, I had become a renowned scholar of ancient wolf bloodlines across werewolf society, known throughout the world. I had left my past behind and dedicated everything I had to my research. I deciphered the lost runes preserved at the Northern Ancient Wolf Research Institute and rediscovered an ancient ritual that could purify werewolf bloodlines. That breakthrough greatly strengthened the Northern Pack and earned me the highest respect throughout werewolf society. To celebrate the publication of my latest research, the Alpha of the Northern Pack held a grand party in my honor. I was dressed in a form-fitting dark green evening gown, holding a glass of wine, as I calmly accepted congratulations from scholars across werewolf society and pack leaders alike. Halfway through the party, a commotion broke out among the guards outside. In the snow below the castle staircase, 2 guards were pinning down a ragged wanderer who had tried to force his way inside. The moment the man raised his head, I stopped. Adrian? He was so thin. One of his eyes looked badly injured, the pupil clouded white, and his face was covered in scars. The pride he had once carried as an alpha was gone. He looked like an old dog that had been driven across the wilderness for years.
Selena!
Adrian started struggling the moment he saw me step outside. The guards let go of their hold, and he stumbled to the foot of the stairs before looking up at me.
Selena, I finally found you. I found out about everything. Evelyn arranged for the rogues to attack you. She murdered our pup, but I've already killed her. I have avenged our pup.
He raised a hand covered in frostbite and scars. In it was a velvet box with a ruby ring inside.
I promised you this ruby ring. I know it's too late, but I still hope you'll take it once again. Please forgive me and start over with me, all right?
From the top of the steps, I looked down at him. My heart did not stir at all. I could not even feel any pity for him. At that moment, a warm black wool coat was placed over my shoulders. Caesar stepped out from behind me. He was the new alpha of the Northern Pack, and he carried the purest white wolf bloodline inside of him. He was tall and athletic, and his gray-blue eyes held absolute authority. Caesar slipped an arm around my waist and pulled me to his side protectively. Then he lowered his head and took my left hand, our fingers locking with each other, beneath the bright lights at the castle entrance. The sapphire ring on my ring neck reflected the light dazzlingly. Caesar had put the ring on that finger himself when he proposed. That deep blue sapphire had been passed down through generations of Lunas of the North. It represented the leader's full loyalty and his true devotion. Adrian was staring at my face, but his gaze locked onto the sapphire ring in the next second. His clouded eye widened, and his whole body froze in disbelief.
No, that's impossible.
Is this the former mate you once told me about, Selena? The one who betrayed you? Do you want me to inform the guards to remove him from the territory?
Adrian's eyes were fixed on Caesar's hand that was resting on my waist, his eyes full of disbelief. He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but the pressure coming from Caesar's pure bloodline was so overwhelming that Adrian could not even raise his head. Only then did he realize I already had someone new. I said calmly to Caesar, "No, there's no need." I stepped forward and looked straight into Adrian's eyes, which were filled with desperation. "Adrian, you didn't kill Evelyn to get revenge for me. You just couldn't stand being made a fool. As for forgiveness," I let out a soft laugh, as if I had just heard some kind of joke. "You'll never need my forgiveness, because you're already dead to me." I looked at him as calmly as if we were just having another simple chat. "When those rogues ambushed me, all I wanted was for you to answer my mind link. I called you repeatedly, but when I woke up and saw you behind another woman like a dog, I knew my love for you was already dead." Adrian began to tremble, his lips turning pale, repeating "I'm sorry" over and over again. Without giving him another glance, I took Caesar's arm and walked back into the warm, brightly lit hall where the party was still going on. "Since you didn't show up for me then, don't show up in front of me again." The doors slowly closed behind me. In the final second, before they shut completely, I heard Adrian drop to his knees in the snow and let out a broken cry. Adrian had died. After brutally killing an Evelyn in her territory, he had completely enraged the southern pack. Evelyn's family had put heavy pressure on Adrian's territory to avoid war. The Edders Council signed a resolution overnight and formally expelled Adrian from the pack. He had lost all his power, territory, and allies, becoming a true wanderer. Evelyn's family had then posted a huge bounty, and countless rogues had begun hunting him across the wilderness. All he could do was run and hide, living in constant hunger and fear. He accumulated more and more injuries, finally running out of strength. In the end, in a desolate valley in the far south, he was surrounded by a hired pack of rogue wolves. The report even included photos from the scene. Adrian had died a tragic death in the wolves' attack, and his body had been torn apart into pieces. He was still clutching the ruby ring he never managed to give me, even in death. After reading the report, I calmly deleted it. After I had deleted the junk mail, I walked over to the castle's tall window. The northern sunlight poured through the glass and fell across me with gentle warmth. I lowered my head and rested a hand on my slightly protruding belly, cub with Caesar. There would be no more fear and neglect. This cub would be born with the best medical care available in the tribe, with the protection and love of the strongest alpha. Had already been left behind with Adrian's death. Nothing from the past could touch my heart anymore. Just then, Caesar pushed open the door and walked in, came over quickly, hugging me from behind tightly. Caesar asked softly, his voice full of tender,
"How are you feeling today? Has the cub been giving you a hard time?"
And felt a steadfastness and strength supporting me with absolutely dependably. I smiled. Months later, thick snow blanketed the entire northern terrace, flooded in, the ambush by rogue wolves, the cold infirmary, and our fur me like a tide, and my breathing turned in frantic. I asked in a frail voice, "Caesar, where is Caesar?" "We have sent word, but he cannot be back until tomorrow morning at the earliest." Biting wind swirled in with snowflakes, and everyone stared in shock at the doorway. There stood Caesar, his face deathly pale, his chest heaved violently, worn out from relentless travel. One of his hands bore frostbite. He said in a low voice,
"I used the pack's secret art, burned a part of my origin, and came directly..."
The chief healer gasped, his eyes fixed on Selena.
"I said I would never let my Luna face any danger alone, even if it cost me my life."
Finally, with a loud, the chief healer announced in a trembling voice,
"It's a little prince, and he possesses the purest white wolf bloodline, just like the alpha."
Everyone in the room knelt down. This was the second pure-blood white wolf born in the northern pack in 1,000 years. I lay weakly against the pillow, tears streaming silently down my face. The healer washed the little wolf cub clean, wrapped him in a soft blanket, and carefully placed him in my arms. I looked down at him. An overwhelming surge of love welled up in my heart. But at the same time, a pain of bitterness quietly rose within me. I thought of the child who had never been born. That night, Caesar stayed by the bedside, never closing his eyes. He would glance now and then at Selina's sleeping face, then at their son, sleeping soundly in the cradle. He thought of how, not long ago, this woman had lain alone in a cold emergency room, enduring the pain of losing her child while the man who should have been by her side was with another woman. He would never let her go through that kind of despair again. A few years later, the Northern Pack grew increasingly powerful under the leadership of Caesar and Selina. Their names had become legendary throughout werewolf society, and their son, Leon, had grown from a tiny baby in swaddling clothes into a brave and skilled young warrior. At such a young age, he had already shown astonishing white wolf talent, and was the pride of the entire Northern Pack. That spring, I took Leon to a valley near the northern border. On the tombstone were carved a few simple words, Tomb of Selina's firstborn son. There was no name, because that child had never had the chance to receive one. Leon placed the flowers and toys in front of the tombstone with practiced ease, his voice still carrying a childling innocence.
Brother, I've come to see you again with Mom and Dad. I brought you toys too, so you won't be bored all by yourself.
I stood before the tombstone, my expression calm yet touched by a faint, barely noticeable sadness. Caesar took an umbrella from the car, walked over to us, and silently held it above me and Leon. I looked up and met Caesar's worried gaze, and couldn't help but smile. Once, I thought my life would be ruined by that betrayal. I thought happiness was a luxury that would never belong to me. But now I had the best partner, the most wonderful son, a career worth dedicating myself to, and the strongest pack. Those wounds had finally become things of the past. Let's go. I took Caesar's hand and walked with him into the sunset. I knew that a happy and fulfilling future awaited us. Before the marking ceremony, Alpha Leo Stonehill stormed into my fitting room. Our marking ceremony had been planned for 6 months, and tomorrow I was going to become his one and only Luna.
Don't move.
Alpha Leo Stonewell lifted a hand to adjust my ceremonial gown.
Your dress isn't on properly.
But the next second, the words that came out of his mouth sent a chill down my spine.
Layla, let Lilith wear this dress instead. Don't show up at our marking ceremony on the night of the full moon. She'll take your place then.
Have you lost your mind? He sighed softly, as if to suggest I was being unreasonable.
Lilith is just an Omega in the pack. I can't bear to let her stay with me without a rightful title. Tomorrow, I'll officially mark her during the ceremony.
The northern wind sliced across my face. It felt bitterly cold, but it could hardly compare to the freezing ache in my chest.
We're supposed to become mates tomorrow. If you're going to mark her, then what did the past 10 years between us even mean?
Leo frowned. Impatience crept into his voice.
Your wolf spirit has been dormant all this time. To the other werewolves in the pack, you're no different from an Omega. Layla, don't worry. Even if I mark her, I'll still take care of you for the rest of your life. Let her have this marking ceremony. Lilith is young and beautiful. She can't handle being wronged.
If this alpha thought I wasn't as young or beautiful as Lilith Lambert, then I didn't want him as my mate either.
Why are you crying? I only slept with her.
Leo Stonewell acted as if nothing had happened. He gently brushed my hair back over my shoulder. His words felt colder than the blizzard outside.
Young sheepwalks who just come of age are the most insecure. Lilith is stubborn. Without a title, she refuses to stay with me.
It felt like something was stuck in my throat. I couldn't get any words out.
Yesterday, she stripped naked and cuddled up in my arms. I couldn't resist. I slept with her. So you'll just have to make a sacrifice.
I stood there and stared at him. He smiled. There was a look of satisfaction in his eyes.
It happened right there in the fitting room where you tried on the ceremonial gown. She's very delicate. Just a gentle touch and she started squealing.
I followed his gaze to the fitting room behind him. It hurt to see a she-wolf's lace underwear there. My stomach churned violently. I clenched the hem of my dress and clenched my jaw hard so I wouldn't cry. Leo placed his hands on my pale face and frowned slightly.
Why are you crying? I only slept with her. I haven't marked her yet. After tomorrow's ceremony, I'll still make time for you. Be good. After I mark her tomorrow, you're not allowed to cry or make a scene. Layla, you ruined your body saving me.
There was even tenderness in his eyes. It was as if he hadn't just admitted to sleeping with another she-wolf. I looked at him and felt nothing but disgust. When this relationship of 10 years came to an end, even the pain turned numb.
I know this hurts you, but Lilith is sensitive. If I made you Luna, she'd cry.
She's simple. All she wants is a title. I chased her for 6 months. Since I slept with her, I should take responsibility.
You've always been understanding. You'll understand this too, right?
He chased her for 6 months. Our marking ceremony had also been planned for 6 months. No wonder he'd become colder and more distant during that time. He had fallen in love with another she-wolf. I clenched my cold fists and closed my eyes. If you've already chosen her, let's end this here. He froze for 2 seconds before chuckling.
What's with the tantrum? Layla, you ruined your body saving me. Outside the pack, would any other werewolf want a she-wolf with a dormant wolf spirit? If I ever betray you, may the moon goddess tear my wolf apart.
I stared at him. It felt as if my heart was falling to pieces. 10 years ago, to help him inherit the alpha position, I endured rotting meat and slept in snow caves with him. During the hardest days, he'd been poisoned with wolfsbane by rogue wolves. Every full moon, he lost control. I gave him the moonstone I'd worn since childhood and stayed by his side through one full moon after another. He once kneeled in the snow, kissed my hand, and swore an oath to me.
Layla, I'll make you the most respected Luna in the pack. If I ever betray you, may the moon goddess tear my wolf apart.
Back then, I believed him. But now, for an Omega he'd only known 6 months, he had destroyed everything with his own hands. I couldn't understand it. He had once loved me so deeply. How could he fall in love with another she-wolf? Leo's phone suddenly rang. Before, he always claimed it was patrol warriors reporting updates. Since I trusted him so completely, I had never questioned it. But now I realized just how foolish I'd been. He didn't answer right away. He simply looked at me calmly.
Enough. Stop making a fuss. We've been together for 10 years. Are you really willing to throw that away?
After saying that, he pushed the door open and left.
Go back to the mansion yourself. I'm picking up Lilith. Think things through.
The door slammed shut. Through the glass, I watched his car speed away. Tears streamed down my face controllably. Much later, I wiped my tears away and slowly closed my eyes. Alpha, were you lying to me? You still can't let her go? I walked home through the blizzard. The moment I pushed open the front door, intimate moans and gasps echoed from the master bedroom.
Lilith, tell me you love me.
Leo, I love you. Not so hard.
Do you like it?
I stood frozen in place. My face gradually turned pale.
I do. I love it, Alpha. Mark me already. I want to be your Luna!
The heating inside the house was running full blast. But I felt colder than I did outside in the blizzard. 30 minutes later, Leo came downstairs with a petite she-wolf wrapped in his arms. The second Lilith Lambert saw me sitting on the couch. Her eyes welled with tears as if she'd been deeply wronged.
Why is she here? Didn't you say this place would belong to me now?
Alpha, were you lying to me? You still can't let her go? I told you I'd never be some secret lover. If she stays, I'm leaving right now. Leo immediately pulled her into his arms.
What nonsense are you thinking? Of course this will be your home. She's only back to pack up her things.
He then looked at me. His calm tone made it sound like he was speaking to a maid.
Layla, the abandoned cabin near the border is vacant. Move there for a while. Lilith never attended something like that.
3 years ago, when we built this house together piece by piece, He held me at the doorway of the master bedroom and said with tears in his eyes that this would someday be a home for us and our pups. Now, he wanted to send me to a rundown cabin with holes in the walls.
Layla, my mate is upset.
Leo looked at me. His voice turned colder.
Don't make me repeat myself.
I clenched my fists tightly and said hoarsely, I understand. Leo stared at my scrawny figure. Something flickered briefly in his eyes. He suddenly stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. His tone softened a little.
All right, don't be upset. The pack has a celebration banquet this afternoon. Come with me then.
I was about to refuse, but he spoke first.
Lilith never attended something like that. Stay by her side and introduce her to everyone. After all, she'll be the future Luna.
I froze for a second and almost burst out laughing, but I said nothing.
If she gets truly heartbroken and leaves, won't you regret it?
Before the banquet, Lilith claimed she had nothing suitable to wear. Without hesitation, she opened my wardrobe and chose the white pearl couture dress Leo had once given me. It was the dress I treasured most.
Oh, this dress is so beautiful.
She stroked my dress and looked at me triumphantly. At the banquet, she had on my couture dress while her arm was linked with Leo's. She accepted the flattering compliments from all the werewolves present. I carried a heavy silver wine pitcher and followed behind her like a maid. I kept hearing whispers from all around us.
Alpha's impressive. He brought both his she-wolves to the same event, and they even seem to get along.
Alpha said his mate is the one named Lilith. The other she-wolf, she's just some mistress without status.
I thought she was Alpha's real mate to be. After being humiliated like this, why doesn't she fight back? It's so embarrassing.
My face turned pale. I turned around and fled the banquet hall. At the end of the corridor, I overheard a few werewolves joking around with Leo.
Alpha, Layla's been with you for 10 years. If she gets truly heartbroken and leaves, won't you regret it?
I stopped walking. Leo only sees you as an obedient dog. The next second, I heard him laugh non-carnously.
Layla's world revolves around me. She'd sacrifice her life to save mine. If she were smart, she'd know no werewolf in this pack would want her except me. Just wait. Once Lilith's novelty wears off, Layla will still be waiting around for me, like she always has.
I couldn't hear the rest of what he said. I walked to the sink, scooped up cold water, and splashed my face with it repeatedly. I closed my eyes, dried my face slowly, but the moment I stepped forward, I felt a hard slap across my face. I covered my burning cheek and slowly turned around. Lilith shook out her hand. All traces of gentleness and vulnerability were gone from her face. You heard him, didn't you? Leo only sees you as an obedient dog. How do you still have the nerve to stay? A she-wolf like you should leave this pack and beg some filthy rogues to take you in. I heard a buzzing sound. I was so furious that I laughed. I lifted my hand to slap her back, but Lila's eyes flickered and she suddenly screamed. She stumbled backward and threw herself down the staircase.
Layla!
You're lying.
It was clearly you!
Leo lunged forward and caught Lilith in his arms, just before she tumbled down the stairs. Lilith trembled violently. Her eyes welled with tears instantly.
Leo, it's all my fault. I ruined what you and Layla had. I never should have shown up.
As she spoke, she slapped herself twice across the face. Leo grabbed her wrist and turned to glare at me.
Explain.
I slowly lowered my hand to reveal my red, swollen cheek.
You should be asking why she suddenly slapped me and why she fell when I never even touched her. Layla! Yes, I slapped you, but it was only because you threatened to hurt my friends. You said you'd drive them out of the pack. They're ordinary werewolves. If they leave, where would they even go?
If you're still angry, then hit me back. Just please don't hurt them.
My vision darked with rage.
You're lying.
It was clearly you!
Enough!
Leo cut me off coldly.
Layla, do you think I won't hurt you?
I suddenly laughed, but my eyes felt like they were burning.
So what now? How are you planning to defend your lying mate?
He walked toward me slowly and grabbed the necklace around my neck. My entire body went rigid. It rested close to my throat. The next second, he yanked hard. The moonstone that had stayed with me for over 10 years, which was the same one that had helped him survive countless full moons, was ripped off. The moment I lost the moonstone, my vision turned dark. I fell hard on my knees. Pain spread from my chest to the rest of my body. I could hardly breathe. I looked up just in time to see Leo place the moonstone, still warm with my body heat and stained with my blood, around Lilith's neck.
Take her away. Lilith's moonstone was stolen. We caught the thief red-handed.
I stared at him blankly and almost forgot to resist.
Once you think things through, I'll let you out.
Every werewolf in the pack knew the moonstone belonged to me. He was the one lying through his teeth right now.
Leo looked down at me. His expression was cold and unfamiliar.
Layla, you've become too disobedient. I'll put you in confinement and let you reflect on your mistakes.
Once you think things through, I'll let you out.
I smirked. It felt pointless to even defend myself. The werewolves stepped forward quickly and slapped silver handcuffs onto my wrists. I didn't resist. I let them drag me away. As we passed each other, Leo's gaze dropped briefly to the blood on my wrist and neck. His brows triggled slightly, but before he could speak, Lilith wrapped herself around his arm and whined sweetly. Leo, thank you for standing up for me. I was terrified. He looked away from me and gently rubbed her hair.
What do you want as compensation?
Lilith lowered her head and touched the moonstone in front of her chest. She couldn't hide the glee in her eyes. Leo and Lilith were kissing each other on the couch. I want you to never speak to that old hang again. You're only allowed to love me. 3 days later, I was dragged out of confinement on shaky legs. The silver cuffs had burned me for too long. Without the moonstone, and with my wolf spirit already dormant, I was weaker than ever. I was brought to a private room. When I pushed open the door, Leo and Lilith were kissing each other on the couch. The entire room reeked of their musky scent. After a long while, Leo finally noticed me standing at the entrance. His gaze languided on my pale face, and his expression darkened slightly.
What happened? Did the werewolves hurt you while you were confined?
Before I could answer, Lilith laughed. Layla, you really know how to put on an act. Anyone seeing you would think you were dying. Leo had started to rise, but after hearing that, he sat back down. He lit a cigar. Impatience was written all over his face. Lilith curled up obediently in his arms and swirled the alcohol in her glass.
Since you've reflected enough, come apologize to Lilith.
Speaking. Layla, you insulted my friends, and I'm still upset, so just saying sorry isn't enough. Drink this whiskey, and I'll forgive you.
I stared at the glass. I then instinctively looked at Leo. I once went into severe allergic stroke after I drank at a party. After that, Leo never allowed me to drink alcohol again. Now, he simply exhaled smoke and said,
Layla, it's just one drink. You won't die from it.
Although I had long stopped expecting anything from him, my heart still clenched painfully. I had already decided that today would be the day I severed everything between us. I nodded, pressed a hand to my aching chest, and picked up the glass. Then I'll do as you wish. After this drink, we're finished. I tilted my head back and finished it in one gulp. I then looked directly into Leo's eyes. Leo, are you happy now?
Speaking. My breathing turned rapid, and I collapsed to the floor.
It's only alcohol. Do you really need to act like you're dying? You're faking this, aren't you?
She's covered in hives!
Leo frowned too. His voice turned cold.
That's enough. How long are you planning to keep this up? Get up.
I didn't move. I only looked up at him. Suddenly, a waiter nearby screamed.
She's covered in hives!
The color drained from Leo's face. For the first time in days, I smiled genuinely. Leo, from now on. Leo tipped over the coffee table. Chaos ensued in the private room, and practically dropped to his knees in front of me. His lips parted, and his hands trembled violently. Even his eyes seemed faintly bloodshot.
I didn't know. I really had no idea it was this serious. Healer! Get a healer!
He fumbled for his phone while yelling incoherently. Right after he dialed emergency services, Lilith snatched the phone from him and ended the call. Leo, did you forget? I have allergies too. I carry allergy medicine. Leo froze for a moment. He then quickly moved aside for her. Lila crouched down next to me. When she lowered her head, her gaze turned hostile. Help me. I need a healer. Leo slowly crouched down beside me and took my hand. I was already on the verge of collapsing from the allergic reaction. My vision turned dark. Even breathing became difficult. Her soft voice drifted into my ear. An allergic reaction isn't enough. I want you dead. How dare you try to steal Leo from me? Go to hell. She released me quickly and turned back around. Her expression instantly turned into panic.
Leo, you've been tricked! I checked her! She's perfectly fine! She's pretending! I examined her! She doesn't have any allergic reaction at all!
Leo was stunned for a moment. He looked down at me. His voice grew colder by the second.
She's faking it?
Lilith hooked her arm around his and pretended to be forgiving. Forget it. She went through all this effort just to avoid apologizing. Once everyone leaves, she'll get up on her own. Instinctively, I reached out and grabbed the hem of Leo's coat. Help me. I need a healer. Leo slowly crouched down beside me and took my hand. A tiny flicker of hope appeared in my eyes, but then I saw him smiling. One by one, he peeled my fingers away.
Layla, you've disappointed me. If you love performing so much, then stay here and perform by yourself.
He wrapped an arm around Lillian and walked away. I lay on the floor and felt my life force slipping away little by little. With one kick, he sent a werewolf. Tears slid down my cheeks. Just as I truly believed I was about to die, I heard a loud noise. The heavy wooden door to the private room was kicked down with brute force. A group of werewolves in black uniforms stormed inside. The tall werewolf leading them had bloodshot eyes. With one kick, he sent a werewolf flying. His voice echoed loudly through the room.
Healer! Hurry and save the Alpha King's daughter!
For the next 2 weeks, Leo spent all his time with Lilith. He thought being with her would make him happier, but it didn't. Instead, he suddenly found himself missing Layla. One day, he took Lilith to a nearby market.
Did you hear? The Alpha King's daughter has finally been found.
They say the Alpha King searched nearly every pack for her. On the next full moon, he's even hosting a celebration in her honor.
Lilith snotted sarcastically next to Leo. She's been missing for years. Who knows how many rogues touched her, and the Alpha King still treats her like a precious treasure. Truly ridiculous. Leo's brows furrowed instantly. She would try to calm his wolf again and again. The novelty he'd once felt for Lilia had completely faded. When he liked her, her bluntness seemed charming. Now, she only struck him as bitter, greedy, and crude. Suddenly, he thought of Layla. Although Layla had no parents, and she forgot all about her past, she never spoke cruelly about others behind their backs. She had stayed beside him during the days he had nothing. She never took his affection for granted or demanded more than he could give. When the full moon drove him out of control, she would quietly stay by his side and press the moonstone into his palm. She would try to calm his wolf again and again. The thought of this made his heart ache. Only then did he recall the look in Layla's eyes that day in the private room when she said they were over. That wasn't a threat. And she wasn't putting on an act either. She truly didn't want him anymore. Leo's breathing faltered. He immediately pulled out his phone and called the beta.
Take the new cashmere coat to Layla's cabin.
Right after saying that, he changed his mind.
Forget it. I'll go myself. She was badly hurt that day. She's probably still angry with me. I'll go make it right.
Lilith's expression changed instantly when she heard that.
Leo! Didn't you say you only loved me? I am your mate! You're not allowed to see her!
Leo's expression darkened.
Shut up.
Alpha, don't be so harsh.
I was only playing around with you. Did you actually take it seriously? Who do you think you are trying to control me? If I hear you insult her again, don't expect mercy.
Lilith's face turned pale. Tears immediately filled her eyes.
Alpha, don't be so harsh. I've been with you since the moment I came of age. I'm not trying to compare myself to her. I'm just afraid you will abandon me.
In the past, her desperate devotion would have softened him. Now, it only irritated him. The flash of panic in her eyes made the uneasincy in his chest grow stronger. Just as he was about to speak, his phone began vibrating. His beta sounded frantic.
Alpha! There's nobody in the cabin! I asked around. None of the werewolves nearby has seen Layla. She's gone missing.
Leo's phone dropped to the ground as he stood at the edge of the market street. He didn't hear a single word of what his beta said after that. He raised his hand and slapped Lilith hard across the face. 2 weeks went by with no news from Layla. Not a single werewolf had seen her either. His mind replayed the scene from the private room over and over. He saw Layla lying on the floor, covered in red welts, and staring at him with lifeless eyes. It felt like something wrapped around his heart and was squeezing harder and harder. Leo spun around and grabbed Lila by the collar.
You said she was pretending that day. Are you sure?
His bloodshot eyes frightened Lilith so badly her face drained of color, but she still forced herself to nod.
Oh, of course! Those rashes were fake! She painted them on!
That's not right.
Something suddenly clicked into place for Leo. His facial expression changed instantly.
I remember now. She's allergic to alcohol. Oh my God! What have I done to her?
His legs nearly gave way beneath him, and his eyes turned bloodshot. He raised his hand and slapped Lilith hard across the face.
You better pray she's still alive, because if she isn't, you're finished.
Leo drove toward the manor, while ignoring every obstacle in his path.
Alpha, we found out everything. You should mentally prepare yourself. This is footage from the stairwell.
In the footage, Layla never once touched Lilith. On the contrary, Lilith slapped Layla first. She then deliberately threw herself backward down the stairs before crying dramatically.
We found this silver needle while cleaning the private room. It's been tested. The Wolfbane dosage on it was enough to kill a full-grown wolfle.
Before he walked out of the private room that day, Layla had clutched the hem of his coat and begged him to save her. Yet he had pried her fingers away himself.
Regret, rage, and terror swallowed him whole.
Alpha! Leo! I know I was wrong! Please forgive me just this once!
Leo looked down at her and felt nothing but disgust. Screamed hysterically. His wolf howled in his mind to tear this liar apart.
You don't deserve to speak her name. You stole her moonstone. You forced her to leave.
He kicked Lilith away and tore the moonstone from her neck.
As Alpha, I strip you of everything you have in this pack.
Get out of my pack.
Lilith clutched her throat and screamed,
Leo! Throwing me out of the pack won't change anything! Layla's already dead! That was Wolfbane! She's long gone. You were blind! You drove her to death with your own hands!
Every word stabbed into Leo like a blade. From that day on, the entire pack knew their alpha had gone mad. He searched everywhere for Layla. The pack's werewolves and elders complained about it all the time. But none of it had anything to do with Layla anymore. He then awakened the wolf spirit that had been in a deep slumber within me for years. I was the Alpha King's long-lost daughter. Years ago, the royal family had been betrayed. A traitor had taken me, abandoned me deep in a remote forest. A violent fever caused me to lose my memories. It also pushed my already fragile wolf spirit into a deep slumber. 2 weeks ago, my dad, Wilson Knight, finally found me. My dad found a witch and tried all sorts of expensive remedies to heal me. He then awakened the wolf spirit that had been in a deep slumber within me for years. I finally understood that I had never been a useless she-wolf without a wolf spirit. My wolf had simply been sealed away for too long. It had been so long that I even forgot it existed. After surviving the whole ordeal, I thought I would never see Leo again. Somehow, he learned that I was the Alpha King's daughter. He became obsessed with seeing me.
Layla, I must see you.
My dad flew into a rage and ordered werewolves to throw him out. Still, he came back the next day and kneeled in front of the gates.
This despicable brat! I'll kill him!
That's enough.
Dad, I'll see him. But the next second, I shifted into a massive wolf right before him. Some things needed to be cleared up in person. The rain was pouring. Leo, who was kneeling in the mud, was filthy all over. The moment he caught my scent, his dull eyes lit up.
Layla. Layla, I kicked Lilith out. I really did. I was wrong. I was blind. I didn't realize I couldn't live without you until you were gone.
He cried so hard that his entire body was trembling. He reached for the hem of my dress.
Layla, can we start over? This time, I'll give you everything. Luna status, power, money, all of it.
Start over? Leo, did you forget how you treated me in that private room? I told you we were over. Keep that disgusting love for yourself.
No! Layla, please give me one more chance!
He pushed himself off the ground and tried to lunge at me. But the next second, I shifted into a massive wolf right before him. I walked back to the manor step by step, never once turning around.
Layla! I'm sorry!
My long dormant wolf spirit had fully awakened. Leo froze completely. He even stopped breathing. Leo, get out of my sight. What we had ended the moment you hurt me. Leo collapsed in the mud and let out a howl of absolute despair. I walked back to the manor step by step, never once turning around.
Layla! I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
Just like that, I left those 10 wasted years behind forever. The rain outside gradually stopped. I stood on the second-floor terrace and watched Leo being politely escorted out of the palace. He looked frail beneath the morning sun. Gone was the look of pride and confidence he once had.
It's over now, my child.
Yes, Dad. It's finally over.
Its silver-white fur shimmered beneath the moonlight with a sacred glow. In the days that followed, my days were packed with lessons on etiquette, history, and combat training. I struggled to adapt in the beginning, but with my dad's patient guidance, loyal attendants caring for me, and new friends by my side, I slowly found my rhythm. My wolf grew stronger too. Its silver-white fur shimmered beneath the moonlight with a sacred glow. Each time I ran with it through the royal forest, I felt a freedom and strength I had never known before. The full moon celebration arrived as scheduled. I had on a silver dress tailored specifically for me. It looked like starlight glistening with every step I took. Standing beside my dad, I accepted the attention and blessings of the crowd. Look, she's the Alpha King's daughter. She's truly beautiful.
I heard she will inherit everything from the Alpha King.
This time, I was no longer the orphan Layla who feared abandonment. I was the Alpha King's daughter. Halfway through the celebration, an uninvited guest ruined the peaceful atmosphere. It was Lilith.
Ah! You've ruined my everything! Layla! You wretch! I'll kill you!
I had no idea how she managed to sneak in. Later, they discovered she had bribed a maid and slipped in under the guise of delivering alcohol. Her clothes were ragged, and her expression was unhinged. While waving a poisoned dagger around, she screamed and started charging at me.
Layla! You wretch! I'll kill you! You ruined everything!
Gasps spread through the crowd. Werewolf warriors immediately moved forward to stop her. Lilith, you ruined everything with your own hand. I wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear. Your greed and cruelty brought you here. Lilith was subdued very quickly. My dad gestured for the guards to bring her away and punish her according to the law. The celebration quickly returned to normal. No one cared what a lunatic said. After the party ended, I went alone to the palace garden.
I'll stay near you. If you ever need me, I'll give my life without hesitation.
Moonlight shone across blooming jasmine flowers that filled the air with a fragrant scent. My wolf rested quietly by my side. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared beneath an archway in the distance. It was Leo. He looked even more worn than before. His eyes were hollow, and the injuries covering his body still hadn't healed. He didn't get close. He only stood there and stared at me from afar. There was regret and pain in his eyes. I ignored him and turned around to leave.
Miss Layla.
It was the first time he had addressed me that way.
I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I still want you to know that I'll spend the rest of my life repenting for what I did. I'll stay near you. If you ever need me, I'll give my life without hesitation.
I stopped walking, but didn't turn around. Leo, your repentance has nothing to do with me. I don't need your protection either. I have a new life and new responsibilities. The past should remain where it belongs. Without another word, I walked away.
Miss Layla, I know I was wrong!
I left behind the werewolf who once filled the days of my youth and the painful memories I'd never look back on. I left it all under the moonlight behind me. 6 months later, I patrolled the commercial street my dad had entrusted to me. Whenever werewolves along the street saw me, most lowered their heads instinctively to avoid looking at me directly. As we passed a narrow alley piled with garbage and rotting meat, a foul-smelling figure suddenly lunged at me from the darkness. Before they could touch me, one of the werewolf warriors kicked them violently to the ground.
Miss Layla, please save me!
The she-wolf on the ground lifted her head weakly. Her face was covered in scars. It was Lilith. After attempting to assassinate the Alpha King's daughter, she became someone everyone despised.
Miss Layla, I know I was wrong! Leo lied to me back then. He forced me to do all those things. You're the Alpha King's daughter now. Please have mercy. Show me a way to survive.
I looked down at her as if she were a pile of rotting trash. A way to survive? Pack law doesn't change because of a few tears from you. Did you ever think about leaving one for me back then? My voice was cold and emotionless. Lilith, do you think blaming everything on Leo erases your own greed and cruelty? You destroyed another she-wolf's relationship. You clawed for power at any cost. You even tried to kill. Those were your choices.
I just...
Pack law doesn't change because of a few tears from you. You tried to murder me. That alone is unforgivable. My dad spared your life once. That was mercy. And yet, you didn't repent. Where you are now is the result of your own actions.
No, I shouldn't be like this.
Take her away. I don't want to see her again. 2 werewolf warriors immediately stepped forward and dragged her away. Her cries and pleas eventually faded into the noise of the bustling street. Sunlight shone on me. It felt warm against my skin, and its brightness seemed to suggest the gloomy interruption had never happened.
Go to hell!
Deep within the forest, Leo lilt through a frozen heap of trash while digging for half-rotted scraps of meat. Lilith trailed behind him. Almost her entire body was covered in wounds. The two were wolves who once loved each other, now looked at one another with nothing but hatred.
It's you.
Leo recognized her first. Murderous rage filled his eyes.
If you hadn't lied to me, I wouldn't have lost Layla. I wouldn't have ended up like this.
Nonsense! You were dumb! You were the one willing to rip the moonstone from her neck for me!
Hunger, cold, and despair had driven them completely insane.
Lilith suddenly pulled a silver dagger from her cloth and drove it into Leo's chest with all her might.
Leo coughed up a mouthful of dark blood. There was a look of disbelief in his eyes. "10 years ago, he had kneeled in the snow and sworn to love Layla forever. 10 years later, he was dying at the hands of the she-wolf he chose instead. The pain triggered one final burst of bloodlust. Leo let out a horse turned lifeless. She stopped breathing altogether. A patrol of werewolf troupiers entered the alley. The leader glanced down at the bodies coldly.
That's the former Alpha, Leo, and Omega Lilith.
Another werewolf Taurier nudged the corpses with his foot to make sure they were truly dead. The two werewolves who had once stirred chaos in the pack and changed the course of my life. He then frowned and took a step back.
Why did they have to die here? It's only going to pollute the air in the forest.
The leader waved his hands.
Take them to the burn pit. Don't let their stench stain the forest grounds.
Two werewolf warriors stepped forward and dragged Leo's and Lilith's bodies away like torn sacks. Their fresh blood left trails on the ground, but those were soon covered by falling snow. It was as if they had never existed. Deep in the forest, only the cold wind and the distant glow of the cremation flames remained. The two werewolves who had once stirred chaos in the pack and changed the course of my life were finally fading into ashes in this ingratious manner. Meanwhile, I was having a discussion with my dad and the pack elders on how to strengthen our border defenses in the Alpha King's stead. I had a calm, determined, and confident expression on my face. I had completely left behind my dark past. My world was filled with only light now. It would never be dark again.